Hey everybody, hope you've been doing well. I got a new package in the mail today, a package from REV Powersports, and I was going to show you what I got and what we're doing with it. So basically, they have released a kit to put doorknobs, to put exterior door handles on your metal factory Segway UT10 doors, if you have the crew cab like I do. So let me show you what they've sent, and I've already done one side, but I ran into a couple of gotchas, had to redo it. So we're doing the other side together. But there was basically one of the door handle latches is a little longer than the other. That needs to go on the rear. But yeah, I'll show you what they sent and how you put them on. So the door handle kit comes from REV Powersports with twice as much as you see here. It actually comes with 4 latches, 4 of these handles, and 8 of those bolts right there. If you look, the door handles actually, they go on the outside. I'll show you on the side I've already done. And they go in the factory holes that were already there. So I've already put these in. But when you pull it, you see it actuates the handle up here and gives you an additional doorknob in the back, or door handle in the back, to pull the door open. And same on the front. Already I love them. It's just a way more natural of a movement to get in and out of the vehicle. But another door handle goes here. And yeah, we'll start over here on the other side and I'll show you how to put them on. So it is very hard to see, but what I ran into is actually there's 2 sets of door handles in here, and they're not labeled in the bag that I could see, but one of them actually extends. This gap right here is actually a little wider on this one than it is on this one. It's very difficult to see. It's maybe half of a millimeter or a millimeter in difference, but it will make the difference on the rear door being able to latch. So I accidentally put the rear, which is the longer one, on my front first, and it works just fine like that. But then when I went to I grabbed another one, I thought they were all 4 were the same. I put the one that had a little bit shorter throw on the back door, and I couldn't get it to go together, and I kind of made it. And once I made it, then the door wouldn't latch. So we'll catch that, but I wanted to point that out. Like I said, it is very difficult to see in person. What I was able to do was kind of stand them up and line them up like this. And when you do that, you can push it all the way to one side, and you can see that there's a gap on one of them. But when you go back the other way, there's no gap. And so you just got to make sure on that. But let's start on the front door and we'll get it taken care of. To put these door handles on, you have to take this whole piece right here off. And once you get that piece off, you'll be able to take this piece off, because there's actually these 4 Phillips head bolts. There's nuts on the backside that you have to get a hold of, and you can't see them until you get this panel off. The other gotcha is inside here, there's a Phillips. You can't get this panel to come off unless you take that Phillips out. So make sure you don't forget that. But it is a 5mm Allen to take out these bolts. And then there's a number 2 Phillips in there. And then the nuts that are on the Phillips head bolts that go on the outside, I think they're 10 mils. I'm not honestly sure. I'll be honest, I used a pair of pliers, and I just grab the end of the nut and hold it and then spin it out with my impact wrench. So let me get started on this, and I'll be back with you in just a second. So as you can see now, I've got all the bolts in the plastic panel loose, but it still won't come out. So here's where you've got to get in there and take that Phillips out. And once you take it out, I'll go ahead and take it out and I'll show you how it comes apart. So there's the bolt that you have to take out. Be careful not to lose it. It is kind of small. Set that down there in my seat, a little workbench here. And then you have, is it going to rain on me? I think it's going to rain on me. You pull that out, it actually just kind of sits through there. And then you see the whole panel falls off. Now from this point, we've got to take these 4. These are the 4 Phillips head bolts that you can see from outside. And it may even be an 8mm. But either way, I just used a pair of pliers and I just grab it like so. And then just pull them out with zip them out with the other side with my 1/4-inch ratchet. But then once you get them off, you'll have to pop this little, before we even take this out, and I actually recommend this, go ahead and take this out. You flip this up and it locks on. And then there's, let's see if I can get a shot in there to it. There's some little, you can see them from right there. You can press those together and kind of wiggle it and it will come out, because this whole piece right here is going away. So let me get that apart and I will be back in just a second. So we've got that out now. We got this part here, and this is what I was talking about. It's got these little tabs that you can kind of squeeze together and take that out. Once you get that out, you have to put it back in the hole on the new latch. And it's going to come in from this side like this. But I'm going to go ahead and get this part bolted in, and then I'll show myself putting the little plastic clip back in and together. And then we can button it all back up. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. I've got the little clip out of the old hardware inside the door. And it doesn't really matter how you push it in, it just needs to go in from this side. You'll notice this whole thing is loose. It's because I have it loose. I got all the bolts back in, but I have it loose on purpose so that I can kind of finagle this stuff. And you see I'm having to pull this latch just a little bit, but it's on that slider, so it's not interfering and not trying to actuate the latch yet. And once you put it on there, you just push that little clip back on. And at this point, even though it's loose, okay, so I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. I've got the little clip out of the old hardware inside the door. And it doesn't really matter how you push it in, it just needs to go in from this side. You'll notice this whole thing is loose. It's because I have it loose. I got all the bolts back in, but I have it loose on purpose so that I can kind of finagle this stuff. And you see I'm having to pull this latch just a little bit, but it's on that slider, so it's not interfering and not trying to actuate the latch yet. And once you put it on there, you just push that little clip back on. All right, so I got the door handle back installed, and something I had to deal with, I didn't have enough travel on this arm. It was not letting the latch all the way. And so actually what I had to do, I took what I had in my hand, which was a hook for a winch I'm not using, and just had to tap that to get it to extend all the way out. And once I did that, it's been working fine. So it's just something to watch out for. But this is how it should look when it's all back together. You got your four Phillips head bolts that come from the outside and go into these nuts. Set it in here. You lock the factory linkage back in, put the little clip back in, push it down. And then at this point, you can shut the door, make sure it actually locks and is doing it holding, and then pull the door open, and there you go. Let me button this one back up, and I'll show you. Once I do, you'll notice that this came with 2 silver bolts, and when you put the door panel back up, it's going to go right here, and you can't use the factory bolts, so you have to use the silver ones, but they're the same size. You can just run them in. Now, let me get to that point, and I'll be right back. I've got the door panel back in. I've got the door handle put on, and it's got the silver bolts in there that you see. And again, all these are H5 Allen keys. But then you got this little piece right here that had the Phillips in it and the door handle. So to put that back in, you actually have to, see if I can do this one-handed. Probably, maybe. Yeah, you have to actually pull the door handle out. And then once you get it there, it'll actually kind of sit, and you can get the bolt lined up, and then put your little Phillips back in the hole. And then I'm gonna go to the back door. To take note of, I was noticing my door was a little rattly without this plastic piece on, and I thought it was something to do with the latch, but actually what it is this rubber stopper is part of this plastic. So once you put the rubber stopper back on, it locks up tight. And then you just pop your door handle, and you're in. I dig it. Let's do the back door. So Colin's probably gonna be mad at me for even saying this, but what I was thinking was actually 2 different set of hinges for the front and rear. May have just been that these things are tight from the factory as I yeet it onto the ground. But this one wasn't, this motion right here, it wasn't going back all the way like it needed to. And I was worried it wasn't gonna actuate. So literally what I just did, set it here, knock it till it goes back, and once it does, it tends to want to return to that spot. So on this back door, it's a very similar setup to the front. We got to take out all these 5mm Allens. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Now bear in mind, these 2, you won't go back because the door handle on the rear actually goes up and down. So those 2 are going back with silver bolts, these 3. But once we get in there, you can actually see the latch down in there now. It's going to be just copy and paste of what we did on the front with the Allens there. So let me get this apart, and I'll show it to you, and we'll get it taken care of and finish this job up. As you can see on the back door, it's much of the same. This is the factory piece. First thing I do is flip this little, these things can be tight. It's that tension on it. But you gotta pop that little clip down. Try not to break it because you ain't got but one of them. And you about can't replace these things, I've found. Let me see if I can get that off with 2 hands. I'll be right back. 2 hands did the trick. I actually put a pair of pliers on it and twisted it so this thing would lever out a little bit more, and it comes right out. And then you pull it. And that disconnects all of this, all your factory handle. So now, push your little 2 clips in and wiggle this thing out. Which is a pain to do by yourself, let me tell you, with 1 hand. There we go. You get that out because we need it on the next one. I'm gonna put it over here, and then let me get these bolts out and change this out, and we'll get this finished up. All right, so I got the door latch in. Go ahead and pop this little retainer back in there. Here we go. And then we can push that back and then rotate around and around, locks it in. And at this point, yep, door. It's too loose for me to open. But once I get everything buttoned back together, we should be able to open this door from the outside. I'm gonna do this real quick because it's starting to rain. So got this one installed. It was a little crunchy on mine. It didn't want to open from the outside. It had to pull on the handle a little harder than I thought it did. I literally just took some WD-40, sprayed on here in all these little linkages, make them move a little, and sprayed in there. And now, there we go. We got back doors. Let me button it up and we'll finish up this video. So as you can see now, we got our doors installed, or latches installed rather. Pops that door. Everything looks nice and neat and factory. Got a pull handle for when you get in and sit down. Same on the rear, which the rear is where I think it makes the most sense. It's nice on both of them, but the rear was always particularly kind of annoying to me to tell people how to open it. But you pull it, off you go. There's your another door handle there to pull from the inside, and it latches like factory. Yeah, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm glad we got it done. I appreciate REV Powersports for getting this to me. They didn't sponsor it or anything, but they shipped. I paid for it on Tuesday and it was here on Friday, so that's a pretty good turnaround. Maybe it was Wednesday. Either way, we're all locked in, and I'm about to take her for a ride and see how she does. Y'all have a good afternoon.